3 signs that God is closest to you at the exact moment you feel nothing at all. That is what I want to give you tonight. Not comfort, not encouragement. 3 specific things I have watched happen in souls for 53 years. Things that almost every person who carries them mistakes for the opposite. If prayer has gone quiet for you, if you still go through the motions but nothing comes back, if you have started to wonder whether you ever really believed at all, these 3 signs are for you. And I will tell you now, the 3rd sign is the hardest one to hear, because it looks exactly like the thing you are most afraid of. Most people who carry it are certain it means they have lost their faith. I believe it means the opposite. I'll explain at the end. Let's begin. Before I start, one thing. If prayer has felt empty lately, write 2 words in the comments. Just 2. Still here. Nothing else, no explanation. No one needs to know what it cost you to type it. I read every one, and I want you to see how many other people write it too. Now, I was a parish priest for 53 years. I have sat at more than 1,200 deathbeds. And I need you to know something before I go any further, because otherwise you will not trust anything I say tonight. I have doubted. Not once, not in a crisis here, some days, most days. For most of 53 years. I have stood at an altar with my hands raised and felt absolutely nothing, and then turned around and given communion to 200 people who assumed I was full of God. So, when I tell you that the emptiness you are feeling is not what you think it is, I am not telling you that from above you. I am telling you from inside it. Sign 1. You are still here. I know how small that sounds. Stay with me, because it is not small. You are watching a video about God at whatever hour it is where you are. You still say something at night, even if it feels like talking into a drawer. You still go on Sunday, or you still feel the absence of going. You are still here. Now I want you to think about what that actually means, because if God had genuinely left you, if the whole thing were empty, if there were nothing on the other end, why would it hurt? We do not grieve the absence of someone we never knew. I have buried a great many people, and I have watched who cries at a funeral and who does not. The people who feel nothing at a graveside are the people who never knew the person in the box. The ache is not evidence of absence. The ache is evidence of relationship. I want to tell you about a woman I knew for 22 years. Her name was Nora. She came to the 7 o'clock Mass on weekday mornings. Not Sunday. Sunday she came too, but Sunday is easy. Sunday everyone comes. I mean the Tuesday in February, when it is dark at 7, and there are 4 people in the church, and one of them is me. Nora was always one of the other 3. 22 years, same pew, 4th from the back on the left by the radiator. And I assumed, the way a priest assumes about a woman like that she was full of God. That she came because she felt something waiting for her at 7 in the morning. Then one December after Mass, she stopped at the door, and she said, very calmly, the way you would mention the weather, "Father, I should tell you something. I haven't felt anything in here since my husband died." I asked her when he had died. 19 years earlier. 19 years of dark February mornings. 19 years of getting up in the cold and walking to a building where she felt absolutely nothing. I asked her why she kept coming, and she said, "I don't know what else to do with the morning." My friend, I have thought about that sentence for 30 years, because it sounds like defeat, and I have come to believe it is the opposite. 19 years of showing up to a place where she felt nothing. I have come to believe Nora was closer to heaven in that pew by the radiator than I was at my altar. So, sign 1, you are still here. You are still showing up to a door that feels closed. That is not the behavior of someone whom God has left. That is the behavior of someone who is being held on to. Sign 2. What was taken from you was the feeling, not the faith. And those are not the same thing, though almost nobody is ever told that. There was a Spanish friar in the 1500s, John of the Cross. He wrote about something he called the dark night of the soul, and it is one of the most misunderstood phrases in the Christian language. People use it now to mean a bad year, a depression, a crisis. That is not what he meant. He meant something very specific and much stranger. He said that at a certain point, God removes the feelings, not as punishment, not as absence, as the next stage. Here is how he explained it, and I will put it in plainer words than his. When we begin, God gives us the warmth, the sweetness in prayer, the moved feeling in a church, the sense of presence. And we, being human, quietly begin to love the warmth. We start coming back for the feeling. So at some point, for some souls, the warmth is taken away, and the person is left standing there in the cold saying, God has left me. But John of the Cross said, no, God did not leave. The feeling left. And now, for the first time, you have the chance to love God and not the warmth. I have watched this at deathbeds more times than I can tell you. There is a kind of person who arrives at the end of life saying, Father, I have not felt anything in 20 years. I don't know if I believed any of it. And then they die, and I want to be careful how I say this. They die more peacefully than almost anyone else I have sat with. Not the ones who felt the most, the ones who kept going without feeling it. There is a moment in the Gospels that I could not preach on for the first 20 years of my priesthood. I avoided it. It frightened me. Christ on the cross says, my God, why have you forsaken me? Think about what that is. The holiest moment in the history of the world, the very center of everything Christians believe, contains the feeling of abandonment. Not the fact of it, the feeling of it. If the feeling of God's absence disqualified a soul, it would have disqualified Christ on the cross. So, sign 2. Check what you actually lost. If you lost the warmth but you are still living like a person who believes, still kind when it costs you, still honest when no one is watching, still saying something at night to someone you cannot feel, you did not lose your faith. You lost the feeling that used to come with it, and those are not the same thing. And now the third one, the one I told you about at the beginning. Sign 3 is this. You have started to suspect that you never believed at all. Not that you are struggling, not that you are in a dry season. Worse, that the whole thing was something you did for other people, that you performed it, that if you are honest, really honest, you cannot find the belief anywhere underneath, and maybe it was never there. I told you this one would be hard, and I told you it looks exactly like the thing you are most afraid of, because it does. It looks like the end. Here is why I believe it is not. I have never once, not one time in 53 years, had a person with no faith come to me terrified that they had no faith. People who genuinely do not believe are not tormented by not believing. They are fine. They sleep well. They are not typing "still here" in the comments of a video at 11 at night. Nobody agonizes about being a fraud in a marriage they were never in. The fear of being a fraud is only available to someone who is actually in the room. And there is one more thing, the thing that finally convinced me. I want you to check it in yourself right now, because you will know in about 3 seconds whether it is true. Think about someone who has no faith at all. Someone who gave it up or never had it. What do you feel toward them now? Because I can tell you what people feel before the dry years come. A little superiority, a little pity, a quiet sense of standing on higher ground. And I can tell you what almost every person feels after: tenderness. The dryness burns something out of us. It burns out the smugness. And what is left is a person who can sit with someone else's doubt without flinching, because they have been there and they did not come back with answers. They came back gentler. That is not the fruit of a soul that has lost God. That is the fruit of a soul that has been taken somewhere deeper than feelings go.
My friend, one question before I finish. How long has it been since prayer felt like anything? Since a church felt like more than a room? Since you had the sense that anyone was on the other end? I ask because most people carrying this have never said the length of it out loud. 3 months, 9 years. Since he died, since she left, since the diagnosis, since a Tuesday you cannot even explain. If you want to put that below, just the length of time, nothing else, I'd be glad to know. And so would every other person reading it, discovering they are not the only one who counted. 3 signs. You are still here. You lost the feeling, not the faith, and you are afraid you were never real, which is a fear only the real ever have. I am 78 years old. I would like to tell you that the warmth came back for me and stayed. It did not. It comes some mornings, rarely, never when I schedule it. But I stopped some years ago, waiting for the feeling in order to believe I was still in this. There is a line in the book of Kings, the prophet Elijah waiting for God. There is a great wind, and God is not in the wind, an earthquake, and God is not in the earthquake, a fire, and God is not in the fire. And then, afterward, a gentle whisper. Every year, I am more convinced that most of us are standing in the silence after the fire, waiting for another fire, and missing the whisper. You have not lost anything, my friend. You have been taken past the part that had feelings in it. Heavenly Father, for everyone watching who has felt nothing for a long time, who still shows up, who still says something at night into what sounds like an empty room, let them stop measuring you by what they feel. You did not leave when the warmth did, and if it is your will, give them one morning soon where they know it. In your Son's name, Amen. If prayer has been empty, write those 2 words below. Still here.